Welcome to the first tutorial of Unmixing Science on what is the sediment fingerprinting technique, its utilities and how to use it. Episode 1, the basics of the technique. First of all, let's take a look to what it is and what it does. Basically, the fingerprinting technique identifies sediment provenance and estimates the relative contribution of each potential source to sediment, which could be a mixture or sink point, by using a variety of selected tracer properties and quantitative unmixing models. Now that we know what it is, let's find why the technique is needed. The first thing to highlight is that the transported sediment, and especially fine-grained sediment, is perhaps the most widespread and pervasive contaminant in hydrological systems with a detrimental effect on infrastructures and aquatic habitats. To see this more clearly, let's use an example. If we visualize a regular catchment such as the one in the figure, while the time passes and the water flows from natural vegetation into areas more prone to erosion together with the variation in climatic conditions, sediment is exported reaching water bodies, which likely leads to reservoirs siltation. The immediate effect from this issue is the loss of capacity, but also affects water quality. However, let's imagine that downstream, there is an area dominated by croplands. That is quite a common situation in the lowlands. We need to highlight that the present productivity of modern agricultural systems is in general dependent on chemicals in the form of pesticides and fertilizers. These chemicals used in modern agriculture can be transported to surrounding land and streams in particle-bound forms that reach the hydrological system. As a result, most of these particle-bound chemicals will be stored at reservoirs, water bodies or river mouths, polluting the water while increasing their concentration, even leading to eutrophication problems or ecological disasters. For these reasons, determining the provenance of sediments is of vital importance for catchment and coastal management. After gathering the knowledge about what the technique is, let's move on how it works and how to implement it. Summarizing what we saw before, the technique consists of unraveling the provenance of sediment to a point. Following the definition, the most important points to understand the technique are the relative contribution, or in other words, the percentage of its source that reaches a mixture, the sediment sources, mixtures, tracers, and unmixing models. First, let's focus on sources and mixtures. The sources are areas or points where the sediment is generated, could be exported and reach a mixture point. Making this graph real, and taking a closer look. Let's say that in a catchment the eroded sediment that reaches a mixture could come from the eroded sediment of pine, exposed subsoil, bare soil, open forest, channel bank and croplands of agriculture areas. Well, now that we know what are the sediment sources, let's find what mixtures are. A mixture is a sample collected at the end of a catchment, in a reservoir or watercourse that corresponds to the sediment exported from the different sources. The term mixture is often used to refer to the target or sink sample because the sample is supposed to be composed by a mixture of upstream contributing sources. But how much percentage of the mixture comes from each of the sources? To answer this question, analysis of several properties between the mixture and sources are needed. These analyzed properties are called tracers and should be equally analyzed in mixtures and sources. Among the most used tracers for fingerprinting are elemental composition, radionuclides, magnetic susceptibility, stable isotopes, and environmental DNA. Finally, to complete the technique, we need to unmix the information extracted from the tracers to obtain a contribution from each source to the mixture. Nowadays, there are open-source models devised as R packages such as FingerPro that includes all the necessary tools for the successful application of the technique. Simplifying the final steps, we introduce the information extracted from our tracer analysis into the model and obtain the relative source contribution to our mixture. Moreover, our packages such as FingerPro not only include an unmixing model, but also several statistics and plots needed for the correct implementation of the technique such as box splits, linear discrimination analysis either in 2D or 3D, principal components analysis plot, and graphical correlation plots. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free at any point to comment in that section below the video for doubts or suggestions. You can contact me by using the following email or learn more about FingerPro on GitHub. In the next video, we will specifically focus on how to use an unmixing model, the useful tools inside the package, and some do's and don'ts that'll help move you in the right direction when using the technique and the models. Don't forget to visit the repository, and if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel.